Today is VE Day, the 8th of May, Victory in Europe Day, when the German armed forces surrendered unconditionally to the Allies in 1945. But what many people don't realize is that a functioning Nazi government continued in operation in the far north of Germany after the surrender, not being dissolved until the 23rd of May 1945, 15 days after VE Day. How such a situation arose and was permitted to continue is an often overlooked facet of the final part of the war in Europe, and a surprising story at that. The story of the last Nazi government began 3 weeks before VE Day, on the 15th of April 1945. Adolf Hitler, in Berlin, and expecting the final Soviet offensive to capture the city to commence at any time, anticipated that coupled with British and American advances from the west, Germany could be split in half. In order to ensure that the German armed forces continued to function, he ordered the creation of 2 commands, one in the south and one in the north. In the south, Air Force Field Marshal Albert Kesselring commanded, while the north was responsibility of the head of the Navy, Grand Admiral Karl Dönitz. Dönitz established his headquarters at the town of Plön. By the 27th of April, Berlin was surrounded. The end was fast approaching. Field Marshal Wilhelm Keitel and Colonel General Alfred Jodi, who ran the High Command, met with Dönitz and Reichsführer SS Heinrich Himmler. Himmler wanted to become Hitler's successor following the disgrace and arrest of Hermann Göring, the deputy Führer, for treason. But Himmler had been trying to make peace secretly, and the British leaked this information, causing an enraged Hitler to order Himmler's arrest for treason on the 29th of April. The next day, Hitler killed himself in his bunker, and Dr. Goebbels, the propaganda minister, was appointed Reich Chancellor, with Dönitz unexpectedly appointed Reich President and Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces. On the 1st of May, Goebbels too committed suicide, leaving only Dönitz as head of Germany. He immediately set about creating a new cabinet at Plön. The problem was now the rapidly advancing British Second Army. Dönitz evacuated his new headquarters to the Mürwik Naval Academy at Flensburg, close to the Danish border. Incredibly, Himmler still tried to influence events. His SS leadership staff actually made up over 70% of the personnel of Dönitz's new government administration, so Dönitz was careful to string him along, not giving him any position in the new government, but not annoying him either. The only prominent Nazi to receive a post was Albert Speer, Hitler's former armaments minister. Dönitz's new government contained a fairly unsavory cabinet. Lutz, Count Schwerin von Krosigk, acted as de facto leading minister and had been Hitler's Minister of Finance from 1932 to 45. Ministry of the Interior Dr. Wilhelm Stuckar was an SS general and Nazi Party lawyer who had been State Secretary in the Interior Ministry, attending the 1942 Wannsee Conference that had settled the Jewish question. Minister of Food and Agriculture Herbert Backe, an SS general, had implemented the hunger plan for the Soviet Union to starve millions of what were termed useless eaters to death after the invasion in 1941. Minister of Justice Otto Thierack had served in the same capacity under Hitler, ensuring the transferring of people deemed asocial elements to Himmler's authority, as well as many other breaches of human rights. Albert Speer had blood on his hands for his mass use of slave labour in order to create the so-called armaments miracle. Plenty of top Nazis hung around in Flensburg, including not only Himmler, but former Foreign Minister Joachim von Ribbentrop and Nazi ideologue Alfred Rosenberg. The existence of the Dönitz administration would give many of the top Nazis time to prepare their escape from the Allies. The heads of the armed forces remained largely unchanged, except for Dönitz's vacant post as head of the Navy, filled by Admiral Hans-Georg von Friedeburg. Fighting continued on all fronts for 8 days following Hitler's death on the 30th of April, as Dönitz tried to split the Allies by offering surrender to the British and Americans, but not to the Soviets. Allied policy was unconditional surrender only. Dönitz also kept the war going so that Operation Hannibal, the mass evacuation of German troops and civilians from East Prussia, could continue to save as many as possible from Soviet captivity. Some German armies surrendered without reference to Dönitz, and eventually negotiations were opened at Rheims in France, with Colonel General Jodi signing on behalf of Dönitz the complete surrender of all German armed forces on the 7th of May 1945. And a second ceremony was performed by Field Marshal Keitel in Berlin on the 8th of May, VE Day, for the benefit of the Soviet Union. But a Nazi government remained at Flensburg. Stalin and General Eisenhower refused to recognize the legitimacy of the Dönitz government. But Winston Churchill, ever the pragmatist, did. He resisted attempts to shut it down, saying he could see great advantages in letting things slide for a bit. What advantages? Churchill's primary fear was the Soviets getting into Denmark and thereby gaining control of the Western Baltic. The Red Army was very close. Flensburg was in the British occupation zone of Germany. The British made out that the Dönitz administration was assisting them in the orderly disarming of German troops and the feeding of refugees, though no British forces had yet occupied the area. Dönitz and his Rump government were a bargaining chip. Eisenhower agreed to allow the Dönitz government to continue exist for a short time, until Soviet intentions concerning Denmark were settled, and the British were ready to take responsibility for the last pockets of German troops in the north. Dönitz, meanwhile, behaved as if his government were real. Every day at 10 a.m. a cabinet meeting was held. Himmler also attended regular meetings, despite being dismissed from all his posts by Dönitz on the 6th of May. In Dönitz's mind, he was the head of a provisional German government. The ministers prepared papers on post-war reconstruction and discussed which symbols, medals and insignia from the Hitler era were to be retained. On the 12th of May, United States Major General Lowell W. Rooks and his British deputy, Brigadier E.J. Ford, arrived in Flensburg and established a liaison headquarters. The Rooks delegation met several times with Dönitz, but it became clear that outside of Flensburg itself, Dönitz only really exercised limited control. Himmler, his aides and bodyguards had left Flensburg on the 12th of May, heading south with false identity papers and disguised in German army uniforms. Soviet pressure to extinguish the Dönitz government was strong, and General Eisenhower decided on the 21st of May to end this fiasco, as the Red Army had not moved into Denmark as Churchill feared. The end came swiftly for Dönitz and his cronies. On the 23rd of May he was called to a meeting with General Rooks and Brigadier Ford and told that he and his ministers were under arrest. British troops moved into Flensburg and started rounding up German service personnel. Rooks ordered Dönitz, Speer and the others to be strip-searched for poison. Admiral von Friedeberg committed suicide before this could happen. But a unit of the Royal Air Force Regiment took the other leaders into custody. The same day the Flensburg government was dissolved, Heinrich Himmler was brought to a British interrogation camp near Lüneburg, having been picked up at a checkpoint 2 days earlier. At the camp, Himmler identified himself. What happened afterwards is, as they say, another story. As for Karl Dönitz, he served 10 years in Spandau prison in West Berlin and died in 1980 at the age of 89. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and also support my channel at PayPal and Patreon. Details in the description box below.